Old hydrant's been replaced last week, so that's nearly all the hydrants in the city.
Yeah, and that has been a major undertaking. We've had one of our firefighters out evaluating different hydrants, identifying the ones that needed replacement, and Cleveland Water has been quite reactive to getting that done. Sometimes it has intersected with our sidewalk projects or our trail projects, and we've done our best to coordinate with Cleveland Water to get that done. So our thanks to the Cleveland Division of Water for that. I was able to chair today in my role as the president of the Cleveland Suburban Water COG, our fall meeting today. And it is as I said to the Water Commissioner and the Director of Public Utilities today, Cleveland Water is, in my view, perhaps the finest operating division of the city of Cleveland government. It is a fantastic asset to this region, and residents should appreciate that we enjoy some of the best quality fresh water in the United States. And much of it is the consequence of the leadership and the staff of the Division of Water. And we are very fortunate that programs like this is a consequence of that leadership and excellence that they bring. So our appreciation to the Cleveland Division of Water for our partnership and how well they work with us. Next, we come to ordinance 2025-20, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an MOU with Ursuline College declaring an emergency. It's on for first reading tonight, but Don, why don't you explain this, and perhaps we'll move to a motion to suspend.
Sure. As you remember, we applied for funding through Regional Sewer District for the design portion of building a pump station that would potentially service mostly Ursuline College, but also service a chunk of residential homes near the corner of Lander and Fairmount. This is, if they have an existing package plant there, which is kind of at the end of its design life, or well, maybe past the end of its design life.
It's a treatment plant.
It's a mini treatment plant, yeah, and it handles the flow coming from the campus. So, we have the ability to utilize regional sewer district funds to clean this thing up, and it would take a source of pollution that is regulated and it's permitted, but it still dumps a certain amount of pollution into the Rancho Recovery Creek. So, Regional is very excited about participating. We asked for 75% funding, which we got, but we want to make sure that Ursuline, who will benefit from this, has an agreement in place that they'll pay for their share of the cost, which is not exactly 25%, but almost whatever's not funded. There'll be a small amount that the city will need to participate in to provide access for other residents in the area, but most of it will be benefiting the campus or the school. So they will be the ones being assessed for the lion's share of any out-of-pocket cost. And I think this agreement just sets out those terms.
We've got one grant, that's just for design and engineering, but actually doing the project requires other grants.
It's a single grant application that we will do in the spring, and you have to have the plans basically done at that point because they want to have a hard cost estimate. They used to just do a single grant for design and construction. They've split it up into 2 steps so that once they have a better handle on the cost, you reapply for the funding again, and then for the construction. The fact that they supported the design means that it's a worthy project.
It's a good sign.
Yes, it's a very, very good sign.
So if for whatever reason we didn't get that second grant, or that grant was not 75%,
yeah,
we would not go forward?
Well, there's a couple options. One is you can wait a year, I guess,
right,
and try it again. Maybe if you don't get quite the level of support that you want, you get something less. That could be a conversation with the college to say, we're only at 60% or something, so your participation might be more. And there's other potential opportunities to get other funding, but this is the one that kind of drives it. So need to do this one first.
Yeah. This evening is a great opportunity. We're showcasing a couple of our very important regional partners, this one being the Regional Sewer District. This project is very important to Ursuline College and its new partner, Gannon University out of Erie. And I would urge that council support this and go forward with it.
Do we need to put Gannon in here because it's now Gannon, or do?
No, they're on the edge of completing their agreements and approval. There are a variety of technical steps so far as accreditation issues, things like that, before they can, declare their association complete.
So then the land that this sits on will also be Pepper Pike City property, not?
No, this is on the Ursuline College property.
Yeah, we would
We would
likely request an easement. We've had that conversation with them about having a permanent easement for operating
Right.
the pump station.
I would think that Ursuline's going to retain their name, but be legally a subsidiary or something. And I don't think they're going to change the name.
And they are. My understanding, Mr. Gentili, right now is that what we know as Ursuline College will be the Ursuline College division of Gannon University, and they will maintain the value and goodwill of their identity as Ursuline College.
And all of their alumni.
My only comment, I read this, it looks fine. The only comment is if the funding doesn't come through for whatever reason, then this could just go away.
Yes.
And I guess my question is, should we add a sentence that says, moving forward with the project is contingent upon receiving adequate grant funding, to make it clear that that's both of our expectations, so there's no ambiguity on that?
I don't know anything that conflict, that statement would conflict with the MOU, so to add that, I have no particular issue.
I think it's just make it clear and someone picking this up saying, oh, it's all contingent upon that, and that just, so there's no misunderstanding.
Is there any urgency to pass it tonight?
Yeah, there is.
Well, then we'd have to go back to them for a change in language in the
Well-
MOU, right?
Why don't we pass it with, if they're okay with it, we'll add it. If it's not there, Mr. Lemay, it's not a.
I understand, it's just it's a
If we can
clarification.
get them, if they're in line, I don't know where they are with their board for approval.
Yeah.
Is my
Okay.
only thought. So if there's still opportunity to add that language,
All right.
we will add it. And if, events of, don't connect, it's not a disadvantage for it not to be there.
It shouldn't be. I mean, they're gonna pay a lion's share if they don't,
Yeah,
right.
So
So
it's not a problem.
it's just making sure we're both on the same page.
So,
But the urgency of us passing it tonight is there a grant deadline or?
Start getting design done.
Just
It's
to
it's
start
also
moving
their board, I think. We want to get the memorandum in place so that we know that we can, in good faith, start on the design.
yeah.
And this was
We're
just
trying to
provided
coordinate-
to
We're
the-
trying to coordinate with their board, and they told us we need for you to say yes.
Okay.
So-
And this was just given to us,
Just for the what?
this was just given to us within the last 2 weeks.
Well, the MOU's been worked on for the last couple of weeks.
So
I
just,
don't think there's anything controversial about this.
No.
We can
No,
discuss
not at all.
the rules and
just to make a note of line, moving forward with the project is contingent upon receiving adequate grant funding.
Yeah, we'll get,
Just
as
simple
long as
sentences.
it's open for that.
Okay, great.
We need a motion to suspend.
some
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Zajac,
We need 5 to pass on a motion. I'll say yes.
Ms. Godin,
Yes.
Mr. Lemay,
Yes.
Mr. Gentile.
Yes.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
And a motion for the adoption of ordinance 2025-20, please.
So, move. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Zajac,
Yes.
Ms. Godin. Yes. Mr. Lemay.
Yes.
Mr. Gentile.
Yes.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
Next, we move to ordinance 2025-21. This deals with an ordinance for Chapter 206. Mr. Lemay previewed this in an exciting preview reel at our last meeting. And what this deals with, and if any members of the audience are unfamiliar with that conversation, Mr. Lemay is taking upon himself to redraft Chapter 206 of our
It's so exciting.
of our ordinances. He's spent about the last year, he tells me, huddled in his basement doing this, and he is introducing it tonight. We're just bringing it on for first reading tonight, council, and, Mr. Lemay is certainly welcome
Yeah.
to make some comments. But the point is, our directors still need to, fully vet this and weigh in, and we're gonna include Mr. Lemay in this conversation, so that we can tune up any policy concerns, things like that, to tighten this up to the way we all want it to be.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to just take a minute to give a little more context on this. And so I started this a little over a year ago. I just thought our contract ordinance was not complete. It was missing some things and very hard and difficult to follow. So I read about 20 contracting ordinances from other municipalities, looked for best practices among those, and started to pull those in. A couple big findings was a few of the things we don't have, and I'm going to highlight those tonight, is many other municipalities have added clauses to their ordinance that protect the city by having mandatory contract terms that go into the contract and prohibited contract terms like indemnifications or waivers that could really damage the city if somehow they snuck into one of the contracts we signed. So, but just for council tonight, if you have just the discussion version, I want to highlight a couple things for you to, as you're reviewing it between now and next council meeting, to think about. And so and there's probably 5 or 6 I'd just like to highlight. So page 1, a significant change is adding a definition of emergency at the bottom of page 1. You recall earlier this year, we had an emergency and the mayor was chasing around council members to sign an approval because the contract was too high. We've never had an emergency clause. Many other cities have emergency clauses. So I think it's critical if that happens again, the mayor has the authority to do what he needs to do in terms of issuing a contract to fix the emergency and restore the ground. And so this definition of emergency, I ask you to take a look at it, it's an immediate threat to public health and safety. And that's tied to expanded mayor authority a little bit later in the document so that he can enter into those contracts. Page 2, a topic for discussion, we don't need to do it tonight, is the mayor's discretionary authority at $25,000. These, I'm looking at other cities' ordinances, they're all over the map. The Orange, for example, has it at 15,000. Bigger cities have it at 50 and 70,000. So it's worthy to take a look at it. I looked at, just to give you some context on this, I looked at, Peter gave me a list of all the invoices paid last year in 2024. There was 2,021 of them. The biggest one being 532,000, the smallest one being 91 cents. So I went from top to bottom on those. And what I was looking for is how many big contracts do we have? And it's surprisingly few. There was only 82 over 25,000. And most of those are for Don's projects, which are all of the big ones. And the rest are kind of routine things like buying salt, paying Moreland Hills for building department services, paying Beechwood for dispatch services. So there were very few over 25. Kind of the good news about this is I looked through all those. It looked like really good discipline in terms of bringing to council the ones that were under 25. I couldn't find any that struck me that escaped council. And what I want you to think about is we don't have to review that many contracts. Part of the balance is between overburdening the administration with minutia or overburdening council with minutia. And so where is that line, that things that we need to see for good oversight purposes versus things that are routine and ordinary that the mayor should just take care of without going to council. So it's been, let me finish this first and you can ask me. Okay. So the 25 is, by the time you sorted through those 82 over 25, took out construction and took out routine things, there was really only a handful left that were over 25. I was surprised how few. And I recognized all of them, so all of them had been brought to council, which is good. That's what was done. So I don't think there's a screaming need to raise this, but if council's inclined to bump it up a little bit to take away some of the smaller ones, that's something I want you all to think about as we consider this next time. Go ahead.
So my question was, I believe Beechwood is under $25,000 each month.
But
we've approved the contract.
Right.
For a monthly pay, let's say it's 20, I know it's more than that.
Yeah.
We've approved that contract.
We have.
And those are installment payments, if you will,
Correct.
or monthly payments, because we get the service every
And we do the same thing, for example, salt, it's a smaller amount, but you add it up and it's about 25. So I think we have pretty good discipline about bringing the council the contracts we should see. And there's not a lot that aren't big construction or routine, which we get anyway. So just for your consideration as you go through that.
I agree. I think that first, the emergency that we dealt with earlier this year was really the first one in my 13, 14 years that we've had. And that was thanks to member of council, Zajac, sharp eye and spotting something that just didn't look right. And like I said, in 13, 14 years, I think that was the first one.
Yeah. And the bottom of page 2, there's the emergency provision that says the contract is free. It's an uncapped amount. So whatever the mayor needs to do to address the emergency, he's given that authority at the bottom of page 2. Just a few more I'd like to point out to you. In bottom of page 3, public bidding process, we changed that from 50,000 to 100,000. This was Steve's suggestion. As I think about the contracts you do down, there's not that many that are below 100,000.
Generally speaking.
Yeah, and that the public bidding process is very burdensome, and we don't want to do it unless it's a big enough number. So that's just something that for you all to consider is that the right threshold level for public contracts?
Well, there's other purchasing procedures that are going below this, so.
Well, there are now under this. Yeah, right. Yeah,
There will be, yes. I should say.
Yeah. On page 6, for non-construction contracts, I've included a provision for a very flexible bidding process for smaller contracts that aren't construction. I've already talked about it with Jim Advent. He had some great suggestions to add to it to make it more practical, including that the threshold for that should probably be 25,000, not 15, which is top of page 7. And he had some other suggestions about conforming it to his practice when he lets these contracts. And I thought they were great suggestions, which I may include in the next draft already that we'll publish for next year. Peter also had some great suggestions. There's some exceptions to the bidding process, and he said in Lakewood, he ran across some examples where it's not an emergency, but they just need something fast. And there's no time to bid it, or else, I think, Peter, you mentioned the pool closed or something like that, unless they got it home.
Yeah.
So that's another example of a kind of a practicality we need to build into this, is why we're getting input from all the staff members. So you'll see a few changes in the next version of this. And then the last one I'd point out is something that's been a bugaboo for a while. And on the last page, page 11, we've had this surplus property provision. And historically, that has been at $5,000. And so we've taken council time dealing with disposing of old things that are worth not very much. And I think that's one example where it's just minutia that council shouldn't be handling it. We should just let the administration handle that and get it done with. What that threshold number is before it should come to us, I raised it to 10,000. Peter would like it to be a much bigger number, and I'm open to that, simply because it's just relying on the good faith of the administration to just do the right thing where you have an old used police car and you're going to sell it on Gov Deals or some other source rather than bringing those to council. So I invite all of your input on what that threshold level is.
If we could get possibly a list, Peter, of the disposals that we've done over the last couple of years and how much those were, it would be helpful.
Okay.
To just see what the range is, to think about what we think that number should be.
So that's an overview. Invite your giving it a close read and bringing comments. And if you have any questions, let me know.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the people who are gonna be directly impacted by this, like you said, because, I can read this and think like, yeah, this seems logical, but the actual implications of what this feels like in your day-to-day workflow is what's important.
Right, and I've caught up with Peter and Peter and Jim, haven't caught up with Don, we'll do that, just to get his comments offline and then incorporate those into the next draft, so once we'll take it.
Okay. Well, thank you, and we will consider this submitted for first reading. Thank you, Mr. Lemay. Next, we are going to move on to ordinance 2025-22. This is Mr. Gentili has asked that this be on the agenda tonight, and Mr. Gentili has drafted an ordinance, and that is before you, council. And turn it to you, Mr. Gentili.
Okay, this ordinance is an amendment to the, I'm calling it the administrative code, but it's to the codified ordinances, section 220.05. And what it does is, when you read the new section F, if it's approved, there is hereby established an investment advisory committee. The purposes of the investment advisory committee are to act as a consultative and advisory body. One, perform an annual review of the investment performance of the city's investment funds and performance of any investment advisor engaged by the city. 2, review the city's investment policy statement, including compliance therewith and appropriate changes thereto. 3, conduct from time to time a request for proposal process for investment advisory services and consider and evaluate proposals from qualified investment advisors. And 4, such other matters related to investments and investment advice and investment performance as the committee deems appropriate. This is intended, or what is expected to be, a once-a-year meeting. It could meet more often, but on a regular basis, unless there's some screaming need for it to meet more frequently than that, it would meet once a year. This establishment clause is just a mirror image of the establishment clauses that we have for the other committees that were established, I think, in early 2024, such as the Finance Committee. That reads, there is hereby established a Finance Committee. The purposes of the Finance Committee are to act as a consultative and advisory body on finance and accounting matters, etc. So this is just a mirror image of those, and it establishes what would be subsection F, that new committee. Any questions?
And I'll turn it over to Councilman. Mr. Gentili was able to get this to me just this afternoon, so she will have promptly got it out. I don't know if council's had a chance to review it yet.
Actually, I got it to you on Monday.
Today's Tuesday. Yesterday's Monday. Today's Tuesday.
It's been a long week.
It's a long week already, I understand.
Wednesday,
So anyway, so I'll leave it to council how in depth any of you are comfortable getting into it. One thought I've had is, and I'm interested in the conversation, I'm not certain why this initiative, this thought, isn't, to the extent that it happens, isn't just a function of the Finance Committee, frankly. I'm a little hesitant about the idea of layering yet another committee that has to be staffed and meet, and why it can't just be part of a Finance Committee function. And I was thinking perhaps we should take this and refer it, just like we get things that are planning oriented and refer to the Planning Commission. Maybe we should refer this to the Finance Committee, for the Finance Committee to bang around a little and see what it thinks about it.
Let me comment on that. That was my initial inclination, is to make it part of finance. And I think the distinction here is the very limited scope of what this committee does. And the distinction is the expertise we're asking for the resident members. And we have 38 million of cash now, that it's a big chunk of money that we need to make sure we're maximizing the return on that. It's our citizens' money. And I'm pleased with what Fifth Third has done. I've gotten to know those two individuals who manage our account, and the more I've gotten to know them, the more I've been impressed with them. Doesn't mean those two individuals are going to be there forever. We'll have to look for something else at some point. Right now, I'm pleased. And so this is literally, and Tony, I would add, review annually the city's investment policy to that, just to, the idea would be we find two residents who are experts in bonds and fixed income. And that is probably a different skill set than would be on finance.
It is.
And so that's kind of where I thought. And the other thing that Tony eventually got me comfortable, because I originally was not, is that it's literally an annual performance review of our investment advisor and investment portfolio, and the investment policy statement, which we passed a few meetings ago, and have them have an outside view who are expertise in the market of how our investment advisor did in our performance, literally once a year. And the only other time that would happen if for some reason we became dissatisfied with Fifth Third and wanted to look for new investment advisors, they would, we'd have a process for that, which I don't anticipate anytime soon. So that's how I draw the distinction, Rick, between finance and this.
If they would enter into a trade that was prohibited, that's possible. And
Yeah, they could do something illegal.
It's not impossible.
Yeah.
In the prior life, I found a trade that was done by the investment manager that was prohibited. It was a bond that looked like it was guaranteed by the federal government, but it was not.
Mhm.
So we had to force them to undo it. But that comes from years and years of expertise in investing that we don't really have necessarily on our finances.
This committee, as I understand Mr. Lemay's comments, the committee would meet once a year. So wouldn't it be better to have but this, the way this is drafted, at least now, maybe it's just a drafting exercise as far as this. It says conduct from time to time. It doesn't say conduct annually.
Well, that's if we needed a new investment advisor only. So every 5 years, as a matter of hygiene, good governance, we want to say, okay, we're going to shop for an investment advisor and compare them to Fifth Third or whoever's in there. That's all that's intended to do.
So it says from time to time.
So meaning every 5 years, we might do that. That's what's intended by that. If you're reading it differently, then we should fix it.
Okay, and the last bullet item, Romanet 4, such other matters related to investment advice. It's a pretty broad statement.
It is, but what I envision with that is ideally if we find two residents who are expert in fixed income and short-term bonds in particular, if they can provide some other expertise to help us, I would happy them to be a resource for Peter.
Yeah, I have no problem with resources for Peter.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. Peter is doing a wonderful job, and he's very open to getting input from people with subject matter expertise.
Yeah.
What I don't want to do is undermine Peter's role and his authority functioning as a finance director and treasurer of the city. That concerns me, and I don't want language in this to, provide that sort of open field running for that to happen.
This should be a plus for Peter, not a minus.
Only a plus.
Only a plus. And so whatever language is appropriate to constrain that, or I'm all about it. Because the only reason Tony brought me around on this is because it had a very narrow scope. Because I didn't want someone questioning every bond they bought. I wanted it to be tight, literally like an annual performance review. So very tight. And that was just an add-on. If something else comes up that no one thought of, could the committee consider it, but I'm not sure we need it even.
Should the subject matter expertise that you've described, should that be an adjunct role though, that person or persons to the finance committee? I guess that's my reaction to everything we've heard, going, okay, that's fine, but it's the finance committee that is, I understand, finance is different than investments, I get it. But
It seems you don't.
it is that functioning sect or committee of council that is dedicated to the finances of the city.
Writ large. I get
Writ
it.
large.
Yeah.
And to me, the role that you describe potentially is, rather than have yet another committee, let's fold that into a finance committee function. So that, you know, for that annual thing, when these people tee up, if there are, you know, persons we've identified, almost as a, I don't know what to call it really, not a rump committee, but some sort of, you know, subset or available expertise to the finance committee. They don't have to be committee people, they just have to be subject matter people.
Right.
Who can provide that sort of, you know, consult to the finance committee.
Only thing I can say is that some of the best organizations in the area have such a committee. And that's because, I'll say it again, that investing is different than accounting. It's completely different discipline in business school. It's treasury and finance as opposed to accounting. And our finance committee does a very good job, even though the name is finance, of monitoring the budget and the accounting, and that's what they all do, and that's what they should do. This is really, we are unique, almost unique in the fact that we have a portfolio as large as we do to invest. So it becomes more complicated than a portfolio of, let's call it 10 million. So the fact that we've been so blessed to have acquired this portfolio over the years from the good management of the city, we need something like this. I've been in organizations like this before. They both have those. I've been in Peter's role, and I absolutely loved having those people there to help me and to give us advice.
Well, we do have those people. We have our investment advisors who
No,
do serve.
no, they aren't the same. The investment advisors are the guys you hire to manage the money or to advise you on managing the money. These are possibly board members or residents of the city who have the same expertise, who can bring oversight and overview to what those managers who you hire, you're paying to do that work.
I guess I want to
It adds-
what you said for a while.
It adds
And
transparency.
It's a first reading, and, you know, let me think about it more so, let Peter think about what's been presented this evening, so that we can perhaps better react more thoughtfully.
So my question is this, yeah, it's a lot of money, no one's disputing that, but the constraints on the investments are so strict that, I'm not saying the dollar amount doesn't matter, but I wonder if we even have, I know one resident in particular who would have the specific expertise needed in here, but even if you're just a bond guy, like, are you gonna be able to lend anything to this conversation?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. The bonds are a subset of investing, and municipal investing is a subset of bond investing.
Right.
So if you have expertise in bond investing, you're automatically going to have expertise here. We would be lucky if we could find someone who actually has the municipal experience, because they would be better at it. They would even be able to spot things. But
I worry that, you know, you come in once a year for performance review, and I'm not disputing the importance of, you know, measuring performance on an ongoing basis. But I don't necessarily agree with your statement that you know, we need to maximize return. Like, I don't think that that's our, right? Like,
Risk
that's our
adjusted
mandate.
return.
Okay.
Risk adjusted
Yeah,
in
you
all
know,
cases.
if you look at the investment policy statement, preservation of capital
Right.
is number one,
Yep, totally.
and then return is the third one in the list.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm not necessarily opposed to using people in the capacity of doing it, periodic review of our managers. And I'd be curious actually, how many firms are out there that could do what Fifth Thirds does? Like how many people play in that space?
10, 15
Okay.
more.
I guess I
there's
just,
there's one here in Pepper Pike,
come in.
Carnegie Capital.
Okay. To come in and do an annual review, gosh, I just worry that it's easy to sort of nitpick, using the benefits of hindsight. And I know these are professionals and they're trained, like I understand that, right? But we have one, full-time employee, very good at his job. We're all very pleased with the work he's doing. We're paying these investment advisors. I share some of the mayor's concerns just about the broad scope of, particularly, section 4 or part 4.
Well, how would you touch it? I mean, that's fine. I'm always open.
Yeah.
No private authorship, but I think that the concept is very important for the city, and maybe I'm not articulating it well enough. But the people you pay, no disrespect to Peter, and no disrespect to Fifth Third, are the people you pay.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's overseeing them, and we don't have the expertise in a formal way to review that. And like for example, I just thought of this. Let's say that the finance committee spots something when they look at the investments month to month. That's when they could call in or call for a meeting of this group to look at it with a level of expertise that the finance committee may not have. So they would work together. It's not like they would work separately, but it really is a completely separate function.
Well, maybe that commends the idea that it should be an adjunct of some type as consultants to the finance committee. Maybe that's exactly what you just said.
A subcommittee of the finance committee.
Yeah, and what the title is, I don't know exactly, but as a consulting role, I'm not really allergic to that idea, but how we bureaucratically establish this relationship and what the extent of their role is to bring in, even using the word oversight, that word has meaning in context of our finance director and treasurer. They can have, advice, consultation, but oversight, that's a different concept.
It's not oversight and, push this button today, please. It's the different kind of oversight.
Right. Right, that's why I think maybe the role, I'd have to think about it. I don't want to plant a flag and say that's what it ought to be. But I'm suggesting this is something to think about.
I'll look for another word that maybe captures the thought better than oversight.
That's not in here. Oversight isn't in here, so. Oversight isn't in here.
Oh.
I only see this as a positive thing for the city to try to protect our investments, and additional sources of information, that can give advice for our luckily large, savings.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as a threat to anybody. I think it's only a benefit and how we can fit it.
Well, it's not, I think we've had a good discussion for first reading.
Yeah.
Let Peter at least start listening, thinking about what he's heard tonight and his own reading of this, and we'll take up the conversation again. So thank you.
And if I could, I'd like to redo this in our usual format, and also we need to add a provision to the emergency clause, so that there's a specific reason. You can have an emergency clause, you just have to state some reason that's not tautological. It's emergency because it's emergency.
Yeah.
And also section 2, Tony has corrected my typographical errors for over 25 years now. So I like to point out section 2 and section 6 are adjacent to each other. So that's
Very good.
very petty of me.
Very good.
Yeah, I don't think we even need section 2 actually, because
You
it's.
embedded that for me to find it.
He
correct,
did, he
Tony?
probably did that.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
This was the Jan clause.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me, not trying to be, I'm lost in this first sentence. Pepper Pike, Ohio, do we have an administrative code?
There is an administrative section.
Is that what, there's?
But
Ohio
you're right, I read the same
administrative
thing.
code.
It looked like you were identifying the Ohio Administrative Code.
That's how I read it.
So it's
when I
there's an
read it.
ambiguity in the title, but I'd also like to.
Right.
All right,
Well,
let's
have
have
at it.
that stuff up.
that's the title of the, section 220, is the administrative code.
Okay, we have to make this so that
We can clarify.
people can read it and
We
see.
can clarify.
Okay. All right. First reading, thank you. Next, we will turn to our committees and department heads. Mr. Lemay, we had a committee meeting tonight with the finance committee.
We did. We had a finance committee at 7:00 tonight and had a full report from Peter. Very strong on the budget side. Actually, year to date, almost every account is below budget on the spending side. The revenue were just on the revenue side, based on increased property taxes, we're up on the revenue side, a little off on the income tax side. But overall, revenue picture is strong. And no other particular anomalies to report. The investments now are, again, it's about $38 million in cash, and they're earning a little over 4%. Which is a good return in this environment, and we're looking to stretch those out with a little bit longer duration over time as the Fed cuts short-term interest rates. And did I miss anything? No?
Just the one thing, the index that we decided that we were going to use in the interim.
Yeah, Jackie just pointed out, she found one that there's a 1 to 5 year treasury that might be better than the one they put out, and it does have a yield on it. So I'm gonna look at that when I get home, Jackie, and see if that's a better than the one we picked. And I still think that it's yield to yield, and Peter, you and I had that conversation. I think it's, because we're a buy and hold, yield to yield is the best way to compare that.
Yeah,
And-
there's a better index than we should use.
And I kind of like this 1 to 5. Its current yield was 3.55. So, but it's governments, so it's even, we take a little more risk, not much. And so it looks more apropos as a benchmark to compare against than the 1 to 3 we built in the investment policy statement. So I'm open to changing that. So
What is it? What is it exactly?
it's the S&P 500 1 to 5 year treasury bond index.
1 to 5 treasury?
I'll send it to you.
And I mean, that'll become more important once the yield curve is not flat anymore. If it comes back to the typical yield curve, short and long, having an index to compare, and the 1 to 5 seems right, it'd be a better benchmark today. You can be at 1 year and 30 year, and you're still around 4%, which is just a strange place to be. So,
Okay. We also had, thank you, Mr. Lemay. We also had a infrastructure committee meeting. Mr. Gentile?
Yes, we had an infrastructure meeting, road infrastructure and safety committee meeting on October 21st in the morning. And there were, almost everybody was able to attend, including our 2 new resident members. Excuse me, Rich Ferguson and Bob Rice. After listening to a presentation by our engineer, the committee is recommending going forward with some projects that are on a road by condition report that I did, which lists all of the fair to poor and fair roads that were on that map that I passed out about, 2 or 3 meetings ago. There are probably a dozen roads of those that are fair. Some are being done this year: Concord, Forest, and Edgewood, Providence, and Lewis. Those that are teed up for next year, because the contingencies will be fulfilled, are Bremerton, Portland, Eaton Lane, and Pine Tree. Those that are teed up for 2027 would be New Brainerd. The contingency there is a gas main installation that I think Don talked about. Belgrade, because of the sanitary sewer, Cedarwood, Settlers Lane, and Sinton Place that don't have any contingencies. And then in 2028, because of the sanitary sewer, Belcourt, Chestnut, and Lander from Fairmount to Cedar. Of the fair to poor, Plymouth is going to be done this year, and that leaves Cedar, which is probably one of our worst roads. And the issue there is that we have to coordinate with other municipalities to be able to put that on the docket. And that, I believe we talked about waiting until after the first of the year because of the possibility, or I guess the sure result of the new mayor in Mayfield Heights. Mayfield Heights is the primary other municipality that we have to deal with. We also recommended, and it's no surprise, that we continue with the sanitary sewer projects on Belgrade and South Woodland in 2026 and 2027, both of which have been awarded grants already and are underway. And probably the next sanitary sewer project would be phase 2 in the southwest quadrant, which is part of the South Woodland, right off of South Woodland. Then we discussed pedestrian trails, and the committee recommended budgeting phase 2 of Gatesville's Boulevard Multi-Purpose Trail for 2026, which has an approximate cost, including landscaping, of $750,000 and would serve 62 households. This trail has already been awarded a grant and is in the works. In addition, the committee prioritized the following pedestrian trails that were Brainerd from Cedar to Kerrsdale, approximate cost of $960,000 and will serve 230 households. And Fairmount from Brainerd to Lander with an approximate cost of $680,000, which will serve 100 households. If accepted, the total cost for 2026 is $2.4 million, and an increase from 2025 spending of $1.4 million.
Thank you, Mr. Chief.
Are we gonna talk about those recommendations, or how do we proceed on that?
Yeah, I think we could, how would you like to proceed this?
Well, I would expect that Peter will use these in putting together the budget and add on anything that you guys see fit.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any necessity to actually accept these recommendations.
The one proviso that I certainly brought out in my comments at the meeting, and I think was, you agree with it, that what was being discussed was the minimum. At least these things should go forward.
Yeah.
So Peter and I need to talk about budget issues to present to council, and maybe more, maybe less. Peter's got to deal with the reality of the numbers and the ambitions, like we had discussed at some length earlier. As Mr. LeMay said, there's $32 million. We got a lot of, we have a pretty broad discretion as to both spending and the infilling of what we do spend on an annual basis. And I think that what the administration is looking to do is to maintain a sustainable balance in our accounts, and also to have the courage to go ahead and spend the money that is available to do necessary and important city projects. And we will come forward with our recommendation regarding that.
And that's exactly how I saw it going, because the amount that after Peter puts the budget together, which is due in about 17 days or so, is going to drive some of this. And so there might be less money than I called out for some of these things, and there might be more.
Yeah,
So,
I think that
this is just a recommendation. I don't think it needs to be accepted in any formal way by council.
Yeah, well, what I will preview for council is that I think we need to be, we've had a certain spend annually for things, and be it $1.5 million, $2 million. It's my feeling, and I need to talk more with my finance director about this, that we can be a little more ambitious with what we are spending. And we don't need to see our balance simply continue to rise and rise. To me, that in part communicates, we're not spending the money we could be spending for necessary infrastructure.
Necessary infrastructure is the important qualifier.
That's a good qualifier. But the goal isn't simply to win the how much money can we save contest.
Absolutely not.
The goal is to, address the needs of the city, the desires of residents, and, come to a number that is sustainable for the city. And, that is the challenge that Mr. Reckentore and I have, is to, figuring out our recommendation as to what that number fairly can be.
Yeah.
But I just want council and the public to know, it may be more money than we have spent in a particular annual year to accomplish something.
Yeah, these
We
are-
also have to look at one thing, and that's to not tear up all of the city at any one time.
To what?
Not to tear up
Not
all
to
of
tear
the
up.
city at any one time, because
Yeah.
we could pave everything.
We're not going to be Joni Mitchell. We're not going to pave paradise.
I have one question in your budget, Tony. Would an ADA accessible elevator fall under road and infrastructure
No.
projects
No.
or
It
not?
does not.
That's for these guys, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
I have a question. I think it's great what the committee has done, and I applaud them and all of that. We love sewers and new roads and everything. But Don, I had a question. I know we had the approval for the pump station near Lander. Is that coming next year on the sewer project on Lander? Or is that in 2028,
That,
2027?
the MOU that we just discussed earlier in the meeting is with Ursuline to design that pump station. So that design is underway right now.
So
That's what
then,
you voted on earlier.
just to, because the next phase you said was somewhere near South Woodland, Southwest
The
Phase 2.
southwest quadrant, right.
When would Lander, because those residents were asking, when
Yeah,
they might.
I've talked to a few people on Lander. You can't put Lander in a group of like, this street's gonna get sewer, because it's probably not gonna work that way. If
Okay.
you drive Lander, there's
Right,
lots of hills and
right.
valleys. Each one of those valleys is a potential pump station site
Oh,
and may only service like 10 houses. So it's a long time for some sections of Lander.
So I'd say I was not able to attend the committee meeting, and it was on a morning that I couldn't miss work. And unless the audio is on the city's website, and I think it's worth a listen. It's 2 hours long and encompasses so much that we talk about every single meeting here. It's just such a nice, Don does an awesome job of just giving a really broad overview of what's going on in the city. It was really helpful that Rich and Bob were there, new to the committee, so they had a lot of pretty basic questions that are just helpful to remind okay, this is kind of at a base level where the city's operating and kind of what's immediately coming down the pipe here. But there were a couple points from the meeting that I wanted to raise and potentially have a discussion about or get some more context to. One of them was the sewers potentially coming to Pine Tree in the near-ish future. They were that's sort of on the list at some point, right?
It is.
And the only reason I raise that is because I know that there's been a pretty vocal contingent of people we need sidewalks on Pine Tree and just hang tight, right?
Right, it's one of the ones I kind of have an asterisk next to.
Yeah.
We have to take a hard look at sanitary sewers for that area. There is some sanitary on portions of Pine Tree, but it should be a coordinated effort. It would
Okay.
likely need to be done in coordination with thinking about
Yeah.
the sidewalk.
So in the meantime, someone mentioned a potential bike lane there, and you said it's actually plenty of space for it. Is that something that the city, because to me, that seems like not a heavy lift, and I could be totally wrong. Jim, tell me if I'm crazy, but I am crazy. Okay, it's a heavy lift. But I'm thinking of it relative to digging up and laying down the sidewalk. And
It
bike
is-
lanes
yeah,
seems.
It is just paint and some signage,
Okay.
but it still has to be done in such a way that it's safe
Okay.
and it's nice for regular bikers, but there are some spots where you get kind of to the end of the bike lane and then you have to go back into the main
Yeah,
road. So
Okay.
it's not for everybody, you know,
Yeah.
but it does pick up or provide a little bit additional safety. And we found that I think drivers do tend to drive a little slower
when they see
when
that.
it's narrowed down by the bike lanes too.
So, I mean, is that a discussion that's worth having? I mean, can we get more details on something like that? I don't want to raise something, prematurely, but, to me, that sounded like kind of a nice way station between doing nothing and doing
That
everything.
would be part of the painting project for next year.
There's no.
If we
Right.
decided to go forward with that.
Okay,
I think we in the past, we've done them on other streets.
Yeah.
But I think it would probably be a spring of next year
Okay.
due to timing.
okay,
Because if we do have to get a little bit of signage, take a look at what's involved, so.
okay.
I think it's a very worthwhile thing to look at.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
One of the, were you done?
No, I'm never gonna be done, but go ahead.
Well, one other thing I wanted to mention that wasn't a recommendation is that Don brought up 14, what do you call it, I think trouble spots, intersections that maybe need to be reconfigured in some way, maybe similar to South Woodland and Lander. Maybe not exactly that way, but something like that. And each one would cost in the neighborhood of $3,000. I'm making up a number. And the mayor agreed that we should go forward and study those. And those may come into the budget as well.
Yes, and
It'll take a while
some
because
of that is gonna
they
be.
need
a
traffic
number.
studies. But that's already approved, which is,
That's already approved, and Don and I've had a conversation for many months about the need to improve the pedestrian accessibility to certain crossing areas. That's a fancy way of saying crosswalks, I guess, but it's more than a crosswalk, because in some places it'll require the road diet that Don refers to sometimes, where the area is just too wide for a safe crosswalk, and that we'll have to shrink the driving area so that it accommodates cars, safely and adequately, but also reduces the distance that a pedestrian has to get across a roadway.
So you neck down the road then, a little bit?
You could do it with curb, or you could do it with striping, signage. There's a couple different ways to do it. And I think what we have is, as we build out more of these trails, you physically have more people walking areas that weren't really an issue before, but now you're getting more pedestrians. And then you find out that, maybe there's an antiquated signal system, the push button isn't there, or there's not a pedestrian crosswalk sign at certain signalized intersections. So each of these areas, they need a good look to review what's there, what's the condition of it, and what's the spend to maybe bring something up to the higher.
Part of what that's going on out here right now is we're engaged in securing better signage, almost original signage, to get people to the crosswalks so they can they'll know coming down the Shaker Trail, where do I go from here? How do I get into the park safely without just jacking across, the circle? Oh, you should walk here, there's a crosswalk, and that's where you should go across. So we're working on that signage right now.
The only other thing I wanted to raise, that I don't think I heard mentioned at the meeting, was potentially connecting down to Orange's walkways. And I just hope that continues to be part of the conversation, because I would love to ride my bike to Honey Hut.
On Lander Road?
Yeah,
Lander Road would be the connection, right?
right. Yeah, and I know that that's part of the circle, so I know that's like a bigger question, but I just want to make sure, they have this like unbelievable system down there, and how nice would it be to link up with that?
It's a great way to tie to that
Yeah.
network, and it
Yeah.
actually encourages traffic.
Yeah.
It's an extremely important point to bring up.
But the meeting was awesome. I highly recommend anyone who, with a couple of spare hours, to listen to it.
Yeah, it was their first active meeting. I want to congratulate Mr. Rice and Mr. Ferguson for their participation. They bit right into it, and I think their being there is a significant reason why Don spent 2 hours. Bringing them up to speed and getting them familiar with a lot of different things going on in the city, but as Godek is right, it creates a really nice audio record of a lot of the different infrastructure issues going on in the city. So I agree. I commend, if you got a couple hours to kill, dial in. Okay, thank you, everyone. I think that was all the committees. Mr. Shi, why don't you,
Quick updates.
Yeah,
Our
quick update.
Shaker Trails marching along. They're getting close to between Forest and Edgewood right now. They're on the home stretch. They have a little chunk here that they have to do by our spectacular sandstone wall. The public art. South Woodland's almost essentially done. Everything looks good. We still have one hydrant. We're getting that squared away with Cleveland Water, about getting that last hydrant moved, and they're doing some pipe stuff. That's from Lander to Pine Tree is almost essentially done. Fairmount, the 2 legs of Fairmount, contractor's gonna be very busy over the next week and a half, finishing some casting adjustments and then paving everything final asphalt. So the next couple of weeks, a lot of it.
okay, thank you. Mr. Evan, how's winter?
2 things, or 1 thing really is, with election being next week, we have a recycling bin out. You can take your election signs that are unwanted. Once to get rid of them, that's where there'll be a container out in the back side where the trash recycling area is.
I would encourage both sides of the charter initiative last May really did a quite admirable job of getting their signs collected. Even the immediate day after the election, and I would encourage everyone to be that ambitious this time around and to collect them and bring them here to City Hall so that we can conclude the public display of the election and support the recycling efforts of the city. All right. Chiefs, anything?
I'm sure our residents are the same thing, there are some people getting annoyed by signs at this point, and I made sure I let them know that our council members do a great job of taking everything down quickly, and not to worry, it's different than a presidential election. So also trunk or treat was very well attended. We had about 900 kids pass through. So,
Wow.
yeah. So,
Full-size candy bars too, I mean.
yeah,
Nice.
the board told us to get 1,000 pieces, and we ended up with having 100 left. So yeah, so it was a good time. Everybody was happy with that.
It's fantastic. I want to also not only thank our officers who support and participate in trunk or treat, but their families. Officer Alstrom's wife is a major organizer of our police trunk or treat. So thank you to Ms. Alstrom for all of her enthusiastic organization and support of that event. She's really wonderful. This is not the first year she has done that, and we appreciate it very much. With that, although our Chief Frazier is modest and reticent, I am going to bring something up in my comment then. I want to commend our fire department for their wonderful response to a major accident on 271. You may have seen it in the media, where a traveling bus of a musical artist on tour had a horrible accident in the middle of the night, and no one aboard the bus was injured tragically in the accident, but our EMS team, led by our own Chief Frazier, responded to the scene and saved the driver's life through their quick response. in a very, very challenging situation, requiring the JAWS to get into the vehicle, remove the driver who had an unfortunate incident, medical incident, and got him over to Hillcrest, in life-saving time. So our thanks and congratulations to the chief. And this bus traveled 500 miles to have its accident in exactly the right place for the driver to be saved and tragedy averted. So thank you, Chief. We had since our last get-together, we actually have received a piece of public art. And you can see it over there. This was part of the, I'll pick it up so everyone can see. This was planned before the conversation. This was part of the Orange Village Centennial Project. A mural was created by the artist of all the communities. And at the end of it, they disassembled the mural and sent over the Pepper Pike piece, which are flowers, rainbows, trails, and ice cream. So, and blue skies.
Is that chocolate sauce coming out of that hose?
Firefighter. It's an honor of the chief.
So thank you to
Big smile.
the Orange Arts Center and Orange Village for encouraging us as part of its centennial, this art project. And we're happy to receive that, and we'll figure out someplace to display the art. That's what I have. Council? Dr. Long?
It is fall and it's getting chilly outside. Do we have a porta potty for outside this year, or
I'm sorry, do we have a what?
porta potty for the bathroom situation?
On top.
Yes. Do we know when the temperatures go below?
It's 35 degrees last night, so
Okay.
could happen at anything.
And then, just a few things to chew on as I was going door to door. People have mentioned leaf pickup again. I know we've discussed that. Rust Belt Riders, because Beechwood has a very nice program where the residents can come and drop off their compostables at City Hall. Something to look into again.
Kathy, I have a contact there actually
Yeah.
that I've sort of been like waiting
Yeah.
to reach out to, so I'm happy,
Yeah.
they like come and sort
Yeah.
of make a presentation to
Right.
council, so I'll see if I can schedule that.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I don't think it's a large amount of money, and I think a lot of people would be interested in that. And then finally, maybe the dog park at some point in time. People have mentioned that as well, so just something for budget.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to revisit the idea of making a donation to a food bank. I know this didn't get a lot of purchase the last time it came up, but I'm sure we've all seen the headlines, SNAP benefits are gonna be paused on November 1st. I know on the service committee, we're starting to get some emails, people looking for food aid. And, in my job, I'm getting lots of cases where people are getting caught stealing food from Walmart, and it's because they have no money to make it to the end of the month. They're not stealing, iPads and things like that. They're literally stealing like food to feed their children. So obviously we don't want to be part of a society where that is essential. Unfortunately, our national government is putting people in that position. So I think that because we have the means, we should be doing something. There's, I looked up the stats, there's 200,000 people in Cuyahoga County that rely on SNAP. Obviously not a lot of them live in Pepper Pike, but we are part of a larger community. So, from my perspective, there's a couple options. We could donate to the Cleveland Food Bank. We know it serves, the whole area, and they're, obviously a huge organization. They have the capacity to, get food at scale I would imagine they have like some economies of scale there, and also to know where the need is greatest. The other option, if we wanted to stay more local, is, Garfield Food Pantry. That's where we send people who come to us through the service committee looking for food. We help them as we can. And then we say, here's the number for the Garfield Food Pantry. They run an amazing organization. It's volunteer run. So, there's no overhead there. They're literally just taking their donations and buying food with it, or taking, straight food donations from the community. So, I understand the reluctance, given that we're using taxpayer money to benefit non-taxpayers potentially. But I think it's just important to be a good citizen at this particular moment. And so I propose that we make a donation. I don't know what the right amount is. I mean, I think we have a lot of flexibility. I'd be happy to recommend like a $20,000 grant. Maybe do 10 and 10. But I think whatever amount of money we do is going to make a meaningful impact and truly like people's lives. And I don't know how anyone could be against that at this particular moment.
I'd like to add my comments to Councilwoman's, just to give council and the audience and anyone listening some of the realities of what's about to occur. Changes, this is not simply the federal shutdown. The state government has also cut back, I believe it's by 25% of its support of local food banks. Changes in HB1, which go into effect November 1st, means that regardless of the shutdown, we will see need from about 4,000 legal immigrants locally here who are losing their benefits, and those who are unable to meet the new work reporting requirements. If SNAP is not funded, according to Cuyahoga County, 190,000 Cuyahoga residents could lose $35 million in money for food in just November. Frankly, there's no way to make up that deficit. Even with the entire network of 1,000 food bank partners, it's just an overwhelming amount of need. I completely support Ms. Godek's initiative here. I would recommend that we donate $15,000 to the Cleveland Food Bank. They currently buy, I think it's 12 truckloads of food a month. They need to buy more. Their own finance committee has reached into their emergency funds to try to expand what they are authorized to purchase. And they need the assistance on a sustainable level for them to make that sort of additional purchase so that they can try to feed these folks. It's a one-time offering, and I think that we are beyond capable of pitching $15,000 in. City of Columbus, I know, just did so for itself. I think that there are communities all over the region who are looking to do the same thing. It's just it's a terrible need that is being faced by people who are just trying to get by. And I would urge this council to support Ms. Godek's urging. And ultimately, I hope we'll hear a motion tonight to do it.
I am very empathetic to that issue. It's awful, how it is impacting people. I've said it before, this money doesn't directly just belong to the five of us that are sitting here. It's the taxpayers' dollars, which seems to be the hang up for me. I would offer, Jackie, I would love to partner with you and do a food drive. That, maybe we do a canned food donation that the community could come together and help support in a different way. I'm not comfortable using our taxpayer dollars in this manner, and we've talked about it before. So I would look for other solutions. I would like to, I think if we want to personally donate, et cetera. But, if we could do a canned food drive for Garfield Food Pantry or something, I will volunteer myself to do it and help if we need things for our Orange Area Service Committee. I'm willing to do it. I just don't know that this is appropriate, but I'd love to hear from everybody else.
The Gentiles are very sympathetic to the food problems that are around us. And we personally donate quite a bit to that cause. I'm still uncomfortable donating taxpayer funds. I don't think that's something that we should do. So
Okay, I think, and I want to hear from our other council people, and I was so urged Ms. Godick to make a motion. I think what government does, the fundamental thing that government does is support and help people. And we have people who live in Pepper Pike who are recipients of the SNAP program. Now, some of you, some people here in this room may live in multi-million-dollar homes. There are other people who are receiving SNAP benefits to even buy food month to month. And I think it is the fundamental role of government. And our government is not simply to, at a time of crisis, is not simply to make sure that we get new sidewalks installed for the well-to-do residents of Pepper Pike. It is to help the region that we live in, the people who come to work in our homes and then go back. And maybe what we pay them to work in our homes isn't enough for them not to receive SNAP benefits. This is our role as, in my view, as moral value leaders in a region, in a community. And I would urge this council to authorize the expenditure of $15,000 to donate to the Cleveland Food Bank so that they can, I think food drives are wonderful. Everyone should put out a bag of food and we'll get the service department to collect it at the mailboxes. We'll do something. But in the meanwhile, the food bank, they need dollars. They need dollars to go buy food, to get another truckload in so that it can be a far more effective use of dollars, because their $1, as you all know, buys 3 meals, 4 meals, each $1. And it is critical that this community, stand up and support the people who live in not only Pepper Pike, but this region, and make them healthy. As we go into winter, the holiday season, this isn't a matter of let's feel good about something. This is a matter of human life that we're talking about. And it's time for this council, I think, and this community to stand up and help the people who live around us. Mr. LeMay.
I'm comfortable with the Garfield Food Bank because it's local, and I think it's local. And so
They're a partner of the Cleveland Food Bank.
I think to them, for their purposes, that helps our local residents. It's closer tied to our taxpayers and the people in Pepper Pike get SNAP benefits. That to me that's more tangible, I think, and that's something I could support.
I support donations. I hear the reservation about the donation of taxpayer dollars, but it's our role as council and city government to try to help our community as well. And from the discussion last time, I remember a lot of residents were in support of it. And so I think we have the support of the residents with us. And in this dire time, I mean, the SNAP benefits, the government shutdown, it's a special time. And if Peter thinks that, it's doable, then I think we should do whatever cause the council is comfortable.
I would be happy to support Garfield. Mayor, you might know, how do they interact with the food bank, just in terms of my concern is, sort of making the money work the hardest, right? So if Garfield gets a donation specifically for their food pantry, are they able to make it work with those economies of scale that the food bank does? Do you have any idea? Because I know they're
They are a partner agency of the Cleveland Food
so
Bank.
they would
I know that. And I would think that if we directed the money to them and entrusted them with seeing that that $15,000 got expended to support people, that they would coordinate it with whatever agencies they need to get, they get their food from Cleveland Food Bank.
Gotcha.
But it goes to Garfield though. so
It goes to Garfield. And it will keep them going because they are delivering services to SNAP recipients. So why don't you make a motion?
All right, I would move to donate $15,000 to the Garfield Food Pantry.
Roll call, please.
No, I'm still writing. Ms. Atrop,
Abstain.
Ms. Govich,
Yes.
Mr. Lemay,
Yes.
Mr. Gentili,
No.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
Ms. Zajac, why are you abstaining? Can you explain your abstention for the record, please?
I'm abstaining because I have stated previously that I don't believe that using taxpayer dollars as a donation is appropriate. Therefore, I have chosen to abstain from the vote.
Okay, so rather than vote no, you're simply going to say.
Rex, that's
Thank you for
inappropriate.
calling me out on that, Rick. I appreciate it. And I will stay with my vote of abstaining. Thank you. Thank you for questioning
We could
me.
potentially raise the issue again if Scott's here. Maybe I would imagine that he's on board and get to 4.
Okay,
I mean, it was the risk of doing it without a full council, Jackie.
Sorry?
we are, the motion is passed, and Peter will work tomorrow to
No,
find,
you need 4 votes
make sure
to-
that's.
No,
You need
yeah, we
4
need 4
votes.
votes.
Yeah.
You need 4 votes for the motion?
Yes. Yes. Any action by council requires 4 votes.
All right, then the motion fails. All righty, audience comments.
Yes, I have a statement. May I stand?
You're welcome to stand.
Sure. Come over here so I can see and invite everyone. Good evening, City Council and residents, and Mr. Mayor. My name is Samantha Licker, and I am a resident of Gates Mills Boulevard. I was raised in Pepper Pike, following a long family tradition. My father's father built a home here in 1961, and my mother's father in 1966. My husband and I moved our family in 2014. We are now raising our 3 young children. Altogether, my deep roots in this community span for nearly 65 years. I am here tonight to express my deep frustration and frankly my growing concern with the way the Architectural Review Board conducts itself. Over the past several years, many residents, myself included, have grown increasingly frustrated with how the board operates. What should be a constructive and respectful process too often feels adversarial and unnecessarily difficult. The board routinely treats its residents as though we have an open checkbook, as if our time and our money are limitless and that the process exists to satisfy their personal preferences rather than clear, consistent standards. Instead of feeling supported by a board that should be helping its residents navigate these standards, many of us leave these meetings feeling dismissed, discouraged, and often disrespected. There is an astonishing lack of self-awareness in how this board interacts with the very residents it is meant to serve. To be clear, the residents respect the importance of maintaining design integrity and preserving the character of our city. No one is asking for a board to approve every proposal without scrutiny, but there is an important distinction between offering thoughtful guidance and creating unnecessary obstacles. The current system has lost its sight of purpose. It is a citywide issue that deserves council's attention and leadership. It no longer reflects neutrality, transparency, or respect. It is time for an upheaval of this process, whether that means restructuring the board, revisiting its authority, or instituting real oversight and accountability. Residents should not dread or fear appearing before their city's own review board. We deserve a process rooted in collaboration, consistency, and common sense. I urge council to take a hard look at this process and to demand better. There needs to be an overhaul. real accountability, clear guidelines, and leadership that insists on professionalism and respect. Thank you, council, for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Licker. Anyone else?
Grace Barber, 33,000 Jacob Boulevard. Thank you, Jackie, for bringing awareness of food sensitivity in our community. I appreciate that. But I support Tony and Amy in saying that not all people, residents, feel that it should come from taxpayer dollars. We have other, maybe charities that's more important to us or other ways, but I feel that bringing awareness to it, maybe, some of these fundraisings that people have done for their campaigns, maybe that they should be fundraising for this need. So I am grateful that both Tony and they did speak out, because not all taxpayers feel that the city should be spending that money. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Jean Gascoigne, 30496 West Laderwood, and I have two comments. One is, what a nice job that Ben Weltman did last week at the candidates forum, representing his mother, Melody. And two, the second is an acknowledgement of the sincere letter that Emmy Zatruk sent out on this past week, explaining her candidacy. I'd like to add that this food business, of course, everybody's awful. I'm just like, God, what the hell, with the government. But there's an organization in Pepper Pike that provides money and food for people who are in emergency, maybe for a month or transition. OCER, I'm not sure, maybe you could check into it.
It's the Orange Area Service Committee, orangeareaservice.org.
It's a terrible name.
Click on donate.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I try and donate a little bit every year, but I don't even know, like I just said, I didn't even know. But I also have a problem using city money, this big chunk, to me, of the residents' money as a donation, just on a vote of all you folks up here. There was something about Shaker Municipal Court, and there was money that at one time at a council meeting, we all talked about using that.
Not to interrupt, but that was what kind of like spurred the idea, and then it was explained to me that the money we get back from Shaker is actually sort of like reinvested, like that was sort of like where the idea originated, but that's not like a separate pot of money just sitting out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we do reinvest it, but my point is, like I say, nobody could deny this horrible situation, but I don't think that we should use that without some sort of, I don't know what, just automatically open the checkbook, because it's to open our money to open give help for the food bank. I do know that in 2020, just as a side note, when COVID started, my daughter Heidi Arnold had a food. She had a fund drive for Garfield Memorial. And it was like 10 degrees out, so I'm offering her help if you do any kind of a food drive here in Pepper Pike. But just to reiterate, much as I'd like to, have you open up the checkbook, I don't think that that's appropriate.
Thank you, Ms. Gascoigne. Anyone else? No.
Beer Bar Savage, 29600 Shaker Boulevard. I disagree with some of these comments. I do think the food bank should be funded. We're an affluent community. And I think if we help our residents that surround us, that helps us too. Just one, that's my first comment. Second comment is, in August, I brought up about herbicides, spraying of the Phragmites. I haven't heard back about that. It's a big concern. The herbicide, we don't know what it is, and I haven't heard anything, and I would just.
I thought Mr. Newell got back to you.
No.
I really thought he had. I'm
He
sorry.
called me 2 weeks ago and said he would have something, but he's never gotten back.
I know his family members have been very ill. So I will
But-
follow up.
And, you know, I've been looking to see if anything, you know, was anywhere else on the website or something, but I would just like to feel comfortable about that, you know, we're spraying in the wet areas.
It was a fair question. I will,
Okay,
I
thank you.
apologize. I thought you got back.
Yeah, that's
I will-
okay.
I will get your answer.
Thank you.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes, careful standing up. A few quick comments. First of all, Mr. Sheehy, the West Hill Colony Sewer Project is going super awesome. So very professional, very quick, very efficient, very clean. I was like, it's over already, so please pass along to them our thanks and thanks to you and your firm as well. Related to Ms. Godek's request, I can say I still need to close the books on the Vote No on Charter Repeal campaign. So our campaign will be closing us books by donating the balance to the Cleveland Food Bank. I don't need to ask. I will be asking the other campaigns or people running for council, when it's time to close out your books in a few weeks, I would ask you to consider doing the same because you will have money left over most likely. And lastly, what about the rest of Fairmount? So it's awesome that we're doing Brainerd and Fairmount, but as I'm looking at the map, quickly looking at Google Maps, there are a lot of houses north of Fairmount, east of Lander, and south of Fairmount. I dare say that proportion-wise, the extra money that we spent to go in front of Ursula and to reach just Aintree, the disproportion has to be higher than that. Just on a cursory count of how many houses and how many miles, the ROI on that is certainly more, significantly more potentially than we spent on just that extra bit of Ursuline. So I know money is money and we're not just keep doling it out and choose carefully, but I'd ask you to reconsider doing the rest of Fairmount so we don't wind up 2 months later saying, hey, maybe we should do the rest of Fairmount when those residents inevitably say, hey, what about us? So thank you for the progress that's been made so far, but please consider, the rest of Fairmount too. And I also don't want to pave the whole city, but there are a couple hundred people that live east of Fairmount that would do well for about 1.2 miles of sidewalks from my close examination. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Nice to see you back again.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sandeep Modi, 2450 Cedar Lakes. There was a question on committees last week at the candidates night. It came to mind as you're talking about this investment advisory committee. I think generally it's a good idea. 2 points there though. Isn't what Mr. LeMay spearheaded a few weeks ago a macro version of that review that happened? So no, it's not. That's different.
It's an investment policy statement, which tells Peter how to manage our funds.
Okay. So thank you for the clarification. One thing I maybe could advise if you're deliberating this next time, what would that supposedly committee use to evaluate the investment advisors? If you have ideas that you would put on paper, I think it could help.
Well, they would use their expertise. They would have expertise in investing, and they would use their expertise to do that annual review. They would look at the benchmark that we've chosen or that we may change, and that's what they would do. I mean, no different than the infrastructure committee. We have people who are interested in infrastructure, maybe have some experience in infrastructure. They lend their expertise to council through these committees. That's what the committees do.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Savage.
Gerard Bar Savage, 29600 Shaker Boulevard. I want to thank Jackie for bringing up a small donation to the food bank. As Mayor said, we have a lot of wealthy people in Pepper Pike. And, I don't think anyone, very few, I should say, not anyone, but very few would object to giving a small donation to feed the hungry. We just got done having a conversation about $38 million we have in our funds. And you're denying a small portion to the food bank? What's the neighboring residents or communities think about us? How snobbish are we to deny feeding the hungry? That's really pathetic. I think maybe we'll put a poll on social media, ask the residents, would you be willing to feed the needy and spend a small portion of Pepper Pike funds, $15 $1,000 out of $38 million. Thank you.
You've spoken, please.
Rich Ferguson, 29200 Edgedale Road. I support the council members who voted for the food bank donation. The federal government has failed, and I think when something big happens, you go local. So I applaud those members who took it to the local level.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Everyone else?
Bob Rice, 2445 Edgewood Trace. I'm gonna dog pile on the food bank. Whatever I have left in my campaign will go to the food bank, in addition to my normal donations to your campaign that I hope you'll put out for the holiday season to get on the website. So I donate freely to that. I support, it's a great cause, Jackie, and as somebody who's worked in Washington DC and understands the process, we got some real problems. Thank you.
Ms. Licker, Ms. Gascoigne, as I don't know if you vote, Ms. Gascoigne knows, I don't know if Ms. Licker, it's one term to the party, so,
Yeah, we
is there
circle back.
is there anyone else? All right, not hearing anyone
I
else.
think we are allowed, once
I'm sorry,
everybody,
what?
once everybody speaks in the audience, if there's not another and there's a second comment, I think in the past we've allowed that.
No, I do not, we have not allowed that. Otherwise, it's turned into a town hall on this other
Thank you.